Paddy Pimblett, the most overrated hype train of all time. Truly, the
Let's
guy
just
is
get after
fucking
it, man.
trash. He went in there to fight. The UFC in his for Paddy's pay-per-view debut tried to give him the worst possible opponent you could fight, and who has the least threat, and he
No
couldn't
finishing
couldn't
power.
win, and
Jared
he
Gordon.
couldn't
He's a
fucking win,
journeyman, 34 years old.
and he couldn't fucking beat him. He lost to him. He couldn't fucking beat him, and I think the hype train's over. The hype train is over. Nope.
Yeah, it's over, man. I mean, you got to look at the whole situation. I mean, during the fight week, Paddy Pimblett had this feud with Ariel Helwani where he was getting exposed for being this entitled,
Little
money
shit.
hungry
Yeah.
guy that, wanted journalists to pay him for interviews when that's clearly not how it goes in MMA journalism, right? A big journalist like Ariel Helwani doesn't pay for interviews. You go on his show so that a lot of people are going to listen to you and you have a platform to speak, right? And he kind of got exposed for that, and he got exposed for telling some lies. So already you have the hardcore MMA community turning on you a bit. And then you have all the casuals tuning in to watch your fight and the hardcores watching your fight as well. And not only do you put on a dog shit performance, but you basically lose too against a guy that you're supposed to beat. The UFC, they want you to succeed. They want Paddy Pimblett to succeed, right? They put a lot of promotion behind him. I mean, it looked weird for me watching the commercials for UFC 282. I was at the gym the other week and I was looking up at a TV that was on the wall, and there was a UFC 282 commercial. It was, Jan Blachowicz Magomed, and they showed like a 10-second clip of Paddy Pimblett, and it's weird, his goofy hair and all that. You don't expect to see that on primetime TV. And I'm like, damn, the UFC is putting in a lot of, investment for this guy because he's fighting he's fighting Jared Gordon, who's not a big name. Like, in order for the UFC to put you in a fucking commercial on ESPN on primetime TV against Jared Gordon, they have to really believe in you because that is not a big fight, right? The only reason you're in that spot is because you're Paddy Pimblett and the UFC believes in you. And he was put in that spot to destroy Jared Gordon, a guy with no finishing power, 34 years old. You're supposed to destroy him. It's a setup. It's like, Conor McGregor is one of his first fights. He's supposed to knock him out.
Even worse.
And it was a shitty fight. It was boring. So you have this guy that's supposed to be the bringer of entertainment who now bores everyone to death, who says that, I took the third round off. Like, you didn't take it off. You couldn't do shit in the third round. You got held up against the cage and big brothered. Paddy Pimblett, the UFC is angry. They are really pissed about it, but they can't publicly acknowledge it because they still have faith that Paddy Pimblett can be something, and they can't accept that investment is going downhill. That stock is they're losing what they
stock is it's over. And you know what? Yeah. I think the post fight made it even worse for him, saying that he clearly won the fight.
If he had just said, if he just got on the mic and said, "Man, the fight sucked. I got to get better," people would have so much respect for that.
So much respect because look, you can't change what the judges are gonna say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got like to say that you just like clear like Sean O'Malley, perfect example. After he beat Peter Yan, he was like, I don't know, I feel concussed. Like I gotta like rewatch it and stuff. But like I thought I landed the more significant strikes. That's all he said. He never said anything about like you're crazy, you're delusional if you didn't think I won that fight. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't like But like Paddy Pimblett, like acting all stubborn, like, oh.
I mean, what gets me is the fact that
who would think I lost that fight? Like that's like
dude, that's what gets me. Paddy Pimblett
fight of the night. Also trying to say it's the fight of the night.
Fight of the night. He leading up to this thing with Jared Gordon, he said all week that his first 3 performances were all letdowns in his mind. He looked at his first performances where he got finishes in his first 3 UFC fights. He said that all of those performances were a little bit disappointing to him. And then he gets on the mic at the post-fight press conference and says that he's most proud of this performance against Jared Gordon just because he went 3 rounds. That is such bullshit. And he's he knows deep down inside that was the worst performance he could ever have. He's so delusional. He has so many people telling him he lost that fight. He knows that it only went 3 rounds because he couldn't fucking do anything to Jared Gordon. And in order to say that if he was disappointed in his first 3 UFC fights where he actually got a finish in the first round and the second round, like he cannot possibly believe that this was a good performance. And that's what leads me to believe that this guy will not get that much better because he has yes men around him and he's so delusional to actually think that there could be something about his game that is not very good.
Yeah.
And you could have all the belief that you want. Like if you don't have the ability to look at yourself and to look at your skills objectively and to critique them and to also say I could get better here, you're not going to get much better. And that just shows me that if he takes a step up in competition, he'll lose because he can't even beat the Jared Gordons of the world. And Jared Gordon didn't even look good in that fight. It's not like Jared Gordon came out there and looked amazing. He looked like shit too, and he still won. The robbery, that was a robbery. Straight up robbery.
Thing I have to say about that is the thing that made it look even worse was that Dana White was like Jared Gordon to cover Paddy's ass was like if Jared Gordon like truly wanted to win the fight, he wouldn't have taken the third round off. Like, Paddy was the one who literally said he took it off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, Paddy was just getting held up against the cage. Like, I understand it would have been cooler if they just stood and banged, but I feel like Jared Gordon would have won the third round if he stood with Paddy.
Oh, of course, but
then he would leave himself open to getting taken down and submitted too.
But then you look at the Usman thing, like that's what happens when you try to make it entertaining and not like hold on to your lead. You know what I'm saying? You can get knocked out. So like
he won the first few rounds.
You can't blame the guy.
And he won the last round. I could have given him every single round. I gave him every single round. I gave the second. Yeah, I gave all three to Gordon.
Same. I think Paddy's a fraud. I knew he was not going to get far. Like we've said it so many times that Paddy will never be in the top 10.
We just thought he was going to get further than this.
I thought he would be able to get past Jared Gordon, like because that's low of low. You know what I mean? Like pay-per-view debut. You think they're trying to like give him a tough opponent? No,
dude, I could kick Jared Gordon's ass.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, no, I mean, pathetic. The guy's delusional. The other thing that really rubbed me the wrong way before all this about Paddy was saying that the Jake Paul fight versus Anderson Silva was rigged. You're really insulting. You're disrespecting one of the goats of your sport who was like put everything into MMA. Like you're really disrespecting him. Like that's fucked up. No.
Yeah.
Like you're saying he rigged a fight. Like
yeah, I mean, dude, you know, when he first got to the UFC, I actually thought he was likable. Like I actually liked him. I thought he was a likable guy.
He's a douche.
He's a cool guy, but like, you know, he's gotten a big head. Like he had a big head before, but he's delusional. Like he's actually delusional.
Like we say Israel Adesanya is delusional. This is another level. It
sucks because now the UFC, Paddy Pimblett's not going to be a star. You need to have big names for him to fight. You know, the whole purpose of getting him into the rankings is so that he could beat a ranked guy with a big name, but that'll never happen. So
I say you match him up against Conor. Then he gets he gets his last paycheck, and then he goes back to fighting like cans, and like he'll maybe win some, he'll lose some, he'll be a journeyman. That's what his.
You know, another thing